Hello biologists. So we've got another video here today looking at maths for A-Level Biology. It's a question from the OCR board, quite unusual. They're asking you to calculate the number of mitochondria that are present in the cytoplasm of a structure called a polar body. Now, what they give you to do this calculation are three values. They give you the diameter of the polar body itself, and they give you the diameter of the nucleus which is within the polar body. And lastly, they give you the density of mitochondria within the cytoplasm. So they're the three values that you have to use to get the number of mitochondria. But all of this ultimately involves calculating volume, and they do give you the equation for the volume of a sphere in the question. So it's an unusual one and an interesting way actually to get the number of mitochondria. So if we have a look at the question, and hopefully we can make some sense of it. Right, so here's the question, and you can see the information there that I've already told you. So I've put everything onto a little diagram. So this polar body is a structure that's formed during the formation of female gametes, and it's a cell that really will have no function. Alright, but it does have a nucleus, it has a small amount of cytoplasm, and there are some mitochondria in that cytoplasm. So where do we start with this? Well, the place I think that would be good to start is to actually understand what density is and how density is calculated. Okay, and that is done by the equation. Density is equal to, so if we have D for density, that is equal to the number of something. So in this question it's the number of mitochondria, okay, and that is then divided by the volume, okay, and this is why we actually need to calculate volume in this question to get the actual number of mitochondria. So first thing is, as I've said, is to calculate this volume. So you're given the equation, which is 4/3 times pi, and they want you to use 3.14. And then it's times the radius cubed. Okay, so we've only got the diameter, and the diameter is actually half the radius, so we have to divide the diameter by 2 to halve it, and then we need to cube it. Okay, so if we look at the volume of the polar body, okay, we have 4/3 times your pi value, and then if I just put in the actual radius, which is half of 10.4, so that would be 5.2, and then that would be cubed. Okay, so 5.2 cubed is actually 140.608. Okay, so the volume now of the nucleus is 4/3 times your 3.41, and the radius there would be half of 7, which is 3.5, and then you'd have to cube that. So the cubed value is 42.875. Okay, right, so the volume of the polar body as a whole is going to be 588.67 micrometers cubed. So it's in micrometers because the radius is in micrometers, and the cube there means that it's a volume. Okay, so for the nucleus, that's going to be 409.17. No, it's not. Sorry, it's going to be 179.5. So there's our two volumes. Now, the thing we've got to do with this is the volume of the nucleus is actually taking up some of the volume of the polar body. Alright, so we've got to find the actual volume of the cytoplasm. Okay, because the polar body is not totally full of cytoplasm because there's a nucleus there. So what we have to do is subtract the volume of the nucleus from the volume of the polar body, and that would give us then the volume of the cytoplasm. So volume of cytoplasm is 588.67 minus 179.5, and that gives you 409.17 micrometers cubed. Okay, so that's the value that we need to use in the next step of the calculation. Okay, right, so if we go back to the density equation, we've got number of mitochondria divided by the volume. So we are given the density, which is 0.08 micrometers cubed. Okay, now we have to get rid of that volume because the units here are micrometers cubed. Alright, what we want is the number of mitochondria, so we have to get rid of this unit. Okay, so whenever something is divided by the volume, so we've got number of mitochondria divided by the volume, in order to remove the volume from the actual answer, we have to times by the volume. Okay, so whenever something is divided, to cancel that out or to remove it, you times by the volume. So we have the density there, which is 0.08, so that would equal to a question mark because we want to find the number of mitochondria, and we divide then by 409.17. Alright, so this involves now rearranging the equation to actually find the number of mitochondria. Okay, so as I've said, the way to do this is, because we divide by 409.7, we have to times it by 409.17, and we have to do the same on the other side of the equal sign, so we have to times 409.17 by 0.08. Okay, so these values cancel out and we are left with our question mark, which is the number of mitochondria, and that will equal 32.73. Okay, so that is the number of mitochondria within the cytoplasm of the polar body. The other thing I think is useful to note actually is the units of the volume are micrometers cubed, and the units of the density is micrometers cubed. So when you multiply those units actually cancel out, and that's why we get an answer with no units. Basically it's just the number of mitochondria. Okay, so hopefully that is something that you understand. Okay, so that's the calculation done. I hope you found it useful. Any comments would be grateful. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, which would be great, and if you think anybody would benefit from this, it'd be great if you could share it as well. See you in the next video.